Myanmar military airstrikes and rising resistance, a deep dive into the conflict's current dynamics and future possibilities. Introduction: a tragic escalation of violence. On March 14, 2025, Myanmar's military junta launched another devastating airstrike on Let Pan Hla, a village located in Singu Township, Mandelay region. The attack, which targeted a crowded market area, claimed the lives of at least 27 civilians, including 6 children, and left around 30 others injured. This tragic event marks yet another chapter in the escalating violence perpetrated by the junta against civilian populations in areas controlled by resistance groups. This airstrike is the second attack on Let Pan Hla in less than 2 weeks. The first strike, which occurred on March 4th, also resulted in civilian casualties, further underscoring the junta's brutal strategy of indiscriminate aerial bombardment. The military has significantly intensified its use of airstrikes and artillery attacks, often targeting civilian areas in regions where resistance forces, such as the People's Defense Force, PDF, have established strongholds. As Myanmar's civil war drags on, the junta's tactics have become increasingly brutal. While the military continues to focus on suppressing resistance forces, it has increasingly relied on airstrikes and artillery barrages, instead of engaging in direct ground combat. This shift in tactics reflects the military's desire to inflict maximum damage on opposition forces without having to deal with entrenched resistance fighters on the ground. Rising resistance: the PDF and allied forces fighting for democracy. Despite the junta's brutal tactics, Myanmar's resistance forces are growing stronger and more organized. A significant development occurred on March 15, 2025, when 77 junior commanders of the Naypyitaw People's Defense Force, NPT-PDF, graduated from a specialized training program designed to enhance their leadership and military skills. The training, carried out under the National Unity Government's NUG Ministry of Defense, marks a critical step in the resistance's efforts to develop a cohesive and strategic military command. The NUG, which seeks to establish itself as the legitimate government of Myanmar in opposition to the junta, has been working hard to build and train an effective fighting force capable of challenging the military regime. The training of junior commanders within the NPT-PDF is an essential part of the strategy to organize local militias, execute well-coordinated attacks, and eventually take back territory controlled by the junta. These trained commanders will lead key guerrilla operations, organize resistance in urban areas, and carry out targeted raids on military positions. The continued expansion and sophistication of the NPT-PDF and other resistance groups signal a growing movement for democracy within Myanmar. With increasing international support, these resistance forces are not only focused on military actions, but also on creating a viable governance structure that could one day replace the military dictatorship. Additionally, ethnic armed organizations, EAOs, such as the Karenni Nationalities Defense Force, KNDF, the Kuki National Army, KNA, and the Chin National Defense Organization, CNDO, remain crucial components of the opposition's strength. These groups, which have long been in conflict with the central government over issues of autonomy and self-determination, have now joined forces with the PDF and other local militias in the fight against the junta. The Battle of Mobye, a show of strength by revolutionary forces. In a significant battle on March 14, 2025, revolutionary forces in Mobye, Pekon Township, launched a successful counteroffensive against the junta's forces. This attack, which resulted in the deaths of 15 junta soldiers and the capture of 9 weapons, was a direct response to the junta's assault earlier in the week. The junta had used drones, heavy artillery, and incendiary munitions to bombard resistance positions in Mobye, causing widespread destruction. However, the resistance was undeterred. In a show of remarkable resilience, forces from the KNDF Battalion 3 and the Mobye PDF launched a successful counterattack on March 14th, forcing the junta to retreat and inflicting significant casualties. During this battle, eyewitnesses reported that the junta had deployed gas bombs and incendiary weapons, leading to the destruction of at least 15 homes and causing further displacement of civilians. The battle for Mobye underscores the growing sophistication and resilience of Myanmar's resistance groups. Despite being outgunned and outmanned by the military, these forces continue to wage an effective and organized campaign. With increasing access to weapons, training, and intelligence sharing among various resistance factions, the opposition is becoming more capable of carrying out successful counterattacks and reclaiming strategic positions. Junta leaders in crisis, internal tensions, and potential shifts in power. As the resistance continues to grow in strength, the Myanmar military junta is facing increasing internal challenges. Junta leaders are reportedly grappling with rising tensions within their ranks as the conflict continues to drain resources and morale. Recent reports indicate that several key leaders within the junta have become increasingly disillusioned with the leaderships of Senior General Min Aung Hlaing and the continued military strategies that are alienating both the civilian population and international partners. This growing unrest within the ranks of the junta presents an opportunity for the opposition. If divisions within the military leadership deepen, it could weaken the junta's ability to effectively suppress resistance movements and maintain control over the country. However, for now, the junta remains focused on holding on to power through sheer force, deploying increasingly deadly tactics against civilian areas and revolutionary forces alike. International pressure, particularly from the United Nations and regional powers, has also been mounting on Myanmar's military regime. Although there has been little in the way of effective intervention, sanctions and diplomatic isolation continue to affect the junta's ability to secure military resources and support from other nations. Future possibilities. Can the PDF and allies defeat the junta? Looking forward, the prospects for the People's Defense Force and other revolutionary groups remain uncertain, though there are several possible outcomes depending on both internal and external factors. 1. Continued resistance and expansion. As long as the PDF and allied groups continue to grow in strength, both in terms of numbers and military capacity, they are likely to maintain pressure on the junta. The strategic training of junior commanders, along with increasing coordination between various ethnic groups and resistance factions, provides hope for a protracted struggle that could lead to the eventual collapse of the junta's grip on power. Second, international support and intervention. The increasing recognition of the ANUG by international governments and organizations may play a critical role in the future of the conflict. If external support, in the form of weapons, humanitarian aid, and diplomatic pressure, increases, it could tip the balance in favor of the resistance. However, the risk of escalating the conflict with neighboring countries remains a significant concern. Third, internal collapse of the junta. As internal divisions within the military leadership widen and the junta continues to lose control over key regions, there is a possibility that the military regime could eventually collapse from within. If senior generals or other key figures in the military defect, or if morale within the rank and file continues to decline, the resistance could seize the opportunity to strike a decisive blow against the regime. 4. Prolonged conflict and humanitarian crisis. On the other hand, there is a risk that the conflict could drag on for years, further devastating the country and exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. the junta's willingness to use airstrikes and artillery against civilian populations, as seen in the attack on Let Pan Hla, suggests that the military may continue its campaign of terror for as long as it is able to maintain power. Conclusion: an uncertain future, but hope remains. The situation in Myanmar remains precarious, with escalating violence, a growing humanitarian crisis, and an intensifying battle between the junta and resistance forces. However, the increasing sophistication of the People's Defense Force, the growing unity among resistance groups, and the potential for internal instability within the junta offer a glimmer of hope that Myanmar may one day see a return to democracy. While the road ahead is fraught with challenges and uncertainty, the efforts of the resistance, supported by local militias and ethnic armed organizations, continue to gain ground. The possibility of victory against the junta, though uncertain, remains a real and pressing concern for both the military regime and the people of Myanmar. Thank you for watching. For more updates and in-depth analysis on Myanmar's ongoing struggle for democracy and global issues, be sure to subscribe to Zalenga Media. Stay informed, support independent journalism, and help amplify voices calling for peace and justice in Myanmar. Thank you for tuning in.